Ryomen Sukuna will beat the allegations, he will win the court case, and Yuji and Higuruma will fail, with potentially leading to some of their deaths, if not both of their deaths. And it's actually very clear how Sukuna will win and why he will win, and just for fun we'll be talking about the hypothetical situation: what if Mahoraga was still alive, what would he do in Higuruma's court case? There's a lot of fun stuff to talk about in this video, so trust me, you're definitely going to want to watch all the way until the end, especially if you're curious on how Sukuna will win this court case. So hey, be sure to leave a like, it helps your boy out a lot. And of course, if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe for a ton of consistent and quality JJK content just like this. A ton of crazy theory videos, spoiler videos on chapters when they come out, power scaling, analysis videos, because less than 10% of people who actually watch my videos are subscribed. So trust me, if you love JJK, if you like watching JJK videos, you will not regret subscribing. I can guarantee you that. And of course, thank you to the special members of the channel. Thank you guys very much. Alright, now let us get into this video. So the first part of the video, I'll actually be discussing why I guarantee you that Sukuna will win this court case, or at least will win this battle at large, if not another retrial after the one we're at right now. Now, why do I think Sukuna is going to win? So just first of all, from a narrative point of view, I don't think Yuji and Higuruma are going to win this quickly. Let's say they actually get the Executioner's Sword, they fight Sukuna and they kill him. It's just going to be too fast, a bit anticlimactic, and just too soon in my opinion. I do think that there's going to be a lot more challenges, there's actually going to be a lot more fights, and we'll even be getting other characters involved once this plan fails, and it's not going to be Yuji's first bout. I don't think he's just going to beat him right off the cuff and then the series ends there, we get a happy ending, or maybe we'll just deal with the merger. You know, Kenjaku clearly has got something planned. I don't think it's going to be that fast. GEGE, he does really like to go the Occam's razor's choice a lot of the times, and in this situation, the Occam's razor's choice, the most obvious answer is don't let the main character just win their first bout with the main villain. Granted, Yuji has fought him before, but I mean in this current final fight. Now, brief One Piece spoilers for Wano, so if you want to avoid them, skip ahead, but I really think it's going to be similar to when Luffy was fighting Kaido. Luffy lost to Kaido not once, not twice, but I believe 3 or 4 times. He actually lost to Kaido, and every time he got back up and then he challenged him again, even after he's knocked out, or in some instances knocked right off the island. But he came back time and time again, and of course it eventually led to Gear 5, his Joy Boy awakening that let him beat Kaido. I think it's going to be something similar to this, and I'm not just saying this because I'm a big One Piece fan. I'm saying this because we have seen this play out time and time again in stories, especially manga and shonen stories. For a recent example, Attack on Titan. The main cast didn't just beat Eren the first time, they actually lost before they regrouped and then challenged him again. In Fairy Tail, it's not like Natsu just beat Zeref the first time they fought. I mean, Natsu's fought him so many times, but time and time again he went to re-challenge him. It's the same there when Ichigo actually fought Yuhaba. Absolutely love that name, by the way, where he got obliterated the first fight, but of course he got his powers restored, his Bankai fixed, and then they fought again and he beat him. And I could list 1,000 examples, but I really think you get my point on what I'm saying. Just from a writing point of view, it's anticlimactic for Yuji to win here, so it's why I do believe, as great as this plan is, Sukuna will come out on top. Now that I've given the narrative reasons, what is the actual in-law reasons, right? In the series, why is Sukuna gonna win? Because there needs to be a way he's gonna win. It's not like GEGE can just say, oh, you win like that. I mean, he kind of did that with Gojo, where he just off-screened him in one shot with a ability that just appeared then, but he did foreshadow at least a bit. But I know a lot of people get very heated on that take, you know, people either defend it or hate it, so I'm not gonna say anything on that. But what I'm trying to say is I think Sukuna actually has a very good plan on how to actually beat the cases. He will beat the allegations. Hashtag free Sukuna. He is an innocent man. I swear to God, this guy wouldn't harm a fly intentionally. They have locked him up for no reason. Please, if you're watching right now, comment hashtag free Sukuna. Help your boy Ryomen out. And the last thing I'll end the narrative points on is I do think it's possible that Sukuna will actually lose this current retrial, and he will be on the back end for a while, maybe for a whole chapter, but I do believe eventually he will come out on top, either because of his shrine box or because he will actually cast a 4th retrial and try to win that way, because Sukuna can, I think, cast more retrials. I don't see why not, but I'm no expert on Japanese law, so maybe he can't. But even if he does lose this court case and is losing for a chapter, I do think eventually he will come out on top against Yuji and Higuruma. That much I can't promise you, but I at least have faith it will probably happen. Alright, but to actually explain it, I think Sukuna has several arguments that he could actually use to beat the court case. The first court case is that he's not human. We know that he discarded his humanity a long time ago. Now, I'm sure before he actually became an ascended human, and he's no longer human or a curse, right? He's just like Tengen. Blatantly, it has been shown by GEGE and the narrative time and time again, comparing the two, saying they look the exact same, and Kenjaku blatantly saying, wow, you look just like Sukuna to Tengen, and then GEGE outright showing us a panel of them side by side, showing us they look the same. So clearly, Sukuna isn't human anymore, nor is he actually a cursed spirit. He's both, but at the same time, neither. He's something completely new. Now, why is this important? I think it's very important because what if that means that human laws don't apply to him because he's not a human? Let's say an alien came from outer Earth and came right onto our planet. Would we be able to judge him by the same human standards, by our morals and laws? It's an interesting question that you'd have to ask, and I guess it's the same with Sukuna. Let's say a lion hunts a deer and kills it in cold blood and consumes it even while it was alive. Are we angry at the lion? Do we blame the lion? Are we saying, man, fuck lions, we gotta just exterminate all lions on the earth, they're so evil? No, we just know it's a part of nature, and because lions are just different from humans, we don't subjugate them to our own ethics, moralities, and laws. Should that not be the same for Ryoma and Sukuna? He is not a human. Yes, he was a human before, and he's probably committed some heinous crimes even when he was a human before he ascended, but like Higuruma was saying in this chapter, we can't actually judge Sukuna based on the crimes of the past because it was just so long ago, and there were different laws and different systems, so we can't actually apply the current systems to that. And all the crimes that Sukuna has committed, again, he's not human. I want to say this is just too easy of an out for Sukuna, so I'm not 100% sure that this is going to be a case. This is just one idea I want to throw out because when you think about it, it is kind of true, isn't it? But nonetheless, it would be cool if that were to happen. The second possible idea that I think could happen is Sukuna just doesn't get the death penalty, and because of this, he can actually still fight and win. Now remember, it is a bit hard to actually get the death penalty on Sukuna. If he can just somehow deflect the blame or not take all of the blame, I guess, with the Shibuya incident, because that was what the retrial was on. So even if Sukuna loses this first case, as long as he doesn't get the death penalty, he should be fine. And now you might question, but wouldn't Sukuna be at the back foot because he doesn't have his curse technique anymore and his space-time cutting cleaves? That's not exactly true, and it depends on if this theory is true. I do think once he loses his main curse technique, Yuji's gonna pummel on him, and we'll probably actually get to see more of Yuji's technique as he wails on Sukuna with his fist and new powers, but I actually think Sukuna has a secret ace that may allow him to win. Is it possible that Higuruma's curse technique only takes away one specific curse technique? Because the way it's actually worded by Higuruma's own curse technique, confiscation, it's like it takes away your curse technique, which is an incredibly important distinction. Is it taking away the curse technique you currently have active, or is it taking away your ability to wield curse techniques? I'm sure even Higuruma himself isn't exactly sure on this, since he's never encountered someone who has more than one curse technique. It is a very unique case. So even though Higuruma himself may think, oh, we can just take away all of his curse techniques, Higuruma doesn't actually know the answers himself. Again, he just got his curse technique recently, and this is completely uncharted territory even for someone like him. Would this mean that Sukuna is actually able to use the 10 shadows? And yes, I think Sukuna can still use the 10 shadows, even though he has incarnated his own body into Megami's. It still at the end of the day should be Megami's body, even though he's put his own body over it, or he's transformed it into his own, or at the absolute bare minimum, Megami's soul is there, so he should be able to access that curse technique. And even if he can't use the 10 shadows, which I do think he could, and it is a big help. I mean, again, he doesn't have Mahoraga, but he still has other Shikigami he can use, and it seems like he can actually use their techniques in his own base, like how he fired the Max Elephant's water at Gojo. He may be able to fire Nue's lightning at someone, or use reverse curse technique for cheaper if he can use the Round Ear's ability on himself, or just straight up summon them or make a new totality, since it seems like Agito died and Mahoraga died, and there's no reason why he can't make a new totality or a new Shikigami out of them, out of the power that was left, because that's how totality works. But even if the 10 shadows doesn't actually work, he can actually manipulate his own black box in his brain, which is theoretical. We don't know 100% if he can actually do this, but considering the fact that he's so aware of it, as he actually gives Gojo a lesson outright saying, oh, the black box is here and you can control curse techniques and all that, could it be possible that even if Higuruma actually takes away his own curse technique and maybe takes away the 10 shadows, because those are the two curse techniques currently activated in his body, what if he actually messes with the black box, which may be something he's able to do, and actually switch out the curse techniques? Now remember, Sukuna actually straight up summoned flames after he opened the black box, so he's able to open it just by saying something we don't hear, and then he says open, or like he says in the anime, Fuga. Absolutely love it, just had to say it, man. The voice actor killed it for that part. Anyway, would he actually be able to take out the flames because they're currently not active on his body, but then he awakens it or opens it, and then he could just throw them at Higuruma and Yuji and absolutely nuke them? I mean, imagine a flame arrow from 20-fingered Sukuna. It would kill Higuruma, even if it's not aimed at him. If he's just in the vicinity, he's a dead man, I can't lie. Maybe Yuji can tank it because, again, he's made up of Sukuna's own cursed energy, so he'd have resistance to it, and because Yuji's also much more stronger than normal. But remember, Sukuna can actually change what his curse techniques target, and in theory, this shouldn't be specific to only Cleave and Dismantle, though it may be just to nerf Sukuna. It may actually be possible that Sukuna can actually apply the my technique can actually target the world existence and everything, right? Not just the opponent. That application, he should be able to apply it to the flames, so the flames aren't actually burning his opponent, but they're burning the world where his opponents exist in, or the existence of the space where his opponents are. Basically, what I'm trying to say is his flames may also bypass all durability and invulnerability and just burn you anyway, which it's really too OP. I think GEGE is just going to limit it to only Cleave and Dismantle, but in theory, it should be able to apply to his flames if we're just being a bit realistic. And not only just the flames, what else does Sukuna have in his open? I mean, would he just have one curse technique only? Who's to say he doesn't have a plethora of curse techniques? Because if you aren't aware, GEGE has actually already given someone this ability in a previous manga of his. The manga is called Number 9. The main character of that series says the exact same thing Sukuna says, the exact same kanji and everything, and when he actually says open, what ends up happening is he summons a whole bunch of weapons. The technique of the main character of GEGE's previous manga was basically a storage technique, so if Sukuna's ability clearly looks to be the same and he can store things, so that's how he's able to summon the flames, since that's what he had in storage, who's to say he doesn't have a lot of other curse techniques in storage, and he pulls them out, and then he just absolutely destroys Yuji and Higuruma via that, and we'll need other characters such as Hakari, Yuta, Maki, and everyone else to step in and actually take on Ryomen Sukuna in an all-out brawl. And the next thing I want to touch upon, just because it's absolutely hilarious, is what would Mahoraga do if he were actually to be in Higuruma's own domain? And again, I know Mahoraga's been vaporized and he's been dead, though I guess a totality could come back with his ability to adapt to everything, so it's not impossible, but Mahoraga himself has been extinguished. Truly, given the definition of adapt to any and all phenomena, there is no reason why Mahoraga shouldn't just straight up lawyer up and defend Sukuna right then and there, because that is, by definition, something he should be able to do. I mean, we saw in the anime, he even gained gills when he was underwater, so there's no reason why he shouldn't be able to start speaking, and I mean, we saw Sukuna was even talking to Mahoraga and gave him a pep talk, so Mahoraga clearly can speak and can think and reason as well, so it's not just a mindless beast. All of Megumi Shikigami can think. We saw even the divine dogs like Megumi, and they like to be pet and all that stuff. As funny as the answer is, and as possible as it is, I guess realistically it could be possible that Mahoraga would adapt to the domain's own rules of there can't be violence, so maybe it would take a couple of spins, but as Mahoraga's in the domain, he would generally adapt to it, and then eventually he could actually change his curse energy properties to be immune to the domain rules. Maybe he would actually be able to warp reality and just not allow himself to be targeted by those rules, which would be insane since it's a domain rule, and that shouldn't be something that's possible, but Mahoraga's already done so many things that we thought previously were impossible. But the issue is that it's not a sure hit, so it's not attacking Mahoraga, so how would Mahoraga in that sense adapt to that? I mean, maybe just by being in the domain, he would slowly adapt to it, and it would take a couple spins, but eventually he would. Or maybe Mahoraga would adapt to have a sort of psychic or mind attack, or some unique attack, and I say attack in quotes, that can bypass the own rules of the domain, because remember, there were some loopholes in the domain. Higuruma said verbal violence is allowed, so what other forms of, and I say this in quotes, violence is allowed in the domain that Mahoraga can actually use as a loophole to kill them in Higuruma's own domain? And there is the possibility that Mahoraga would just break the domain as soon as he's summoned, but there's a couple reasons why that can't happen. First of all, the own domain itself prohibits violence, so if Mahoraga were to actually try and attack the domain just wouldn't let him. It would just reset him or teleport him away, and Mahoraga can try infinitely, but it just wouldn't be able to attack the domain. And the second point is, the only reason Mahoraga was able to destroy Gojo's domain expansion, Infinite Void, was because he already adapted to Unlimited Void itself, the sure hit. So because he's adapted to the sure hit, he could just destroy the domain in one shot. Now, I've seen some people argue that that wasn't why he's able to do it, because clearly Gojo outright says he destroyed the domain, it's only because he's adapted to Unlimited Void. But some people actually take that to mean that Gojo is only surprised because had Mahoraga not been adapted before, the Unlimited Void would have at least stunned him for a bit and he would have one-shot him, but because Mahoraga wasn't stunned at all because he's already adapted, that was actually the reason why Unlimited Void was ineffective. So it could be that as well, and Mahoraga could break Higuruma's domain from the inside, but again, violence is prohibited, so it shouldn't be able to happen anyway. But you never know with Mahoraga, the guy's an absolute tank. And I mean, maybe Sukuna could just summon him from the outside, which isn't impossible, I guess, but again, I doubt that is kind of a stretch, because even when Sukuna summons him in Yorozu's own domain, the only thing he does is summon him inside of the domain itself, and he himself just dips into the shadows to hide and not get hit by Yorozu's sure hit. But let's be real, the funniest answer is if Mahoraga lawyers up, goes Better Call Saul, Phoenix Wright, he turns into Daredevil, Matt Murdock, and beats the allegations for Sukuna because his client Sukuna is innocent. Hashtag free Sukuna. Again, I gotta emphasize on that hashtag. But that's all for the video. If you did enjoy, be sure to leave a like, it helps out a ton. Thank you. And of course, if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe for a ton of consistent and quality JJK content just like this. A ton of crazy theory videos, spoiler videos on chapters when they come out, power scaling videos, analysis, because like I said in the beginning, less than 10% of people who watch my videos are subscribed. So if you love JJK, trust me, you will not regret subscribing. And of course, thank you to all the channel members as well. It is much appreciated, guys. And if you watched this far, you remember the Higuruma fan club. Thank you guys very much. That's all from me. Have a nice day and take care.